Oh, it's live, pal.
Sorry.
We will ban you from the Summerfest.
Right here in the Silverdome.
Jeff Harvey.
And I have half the brain that you do.
Welcome to the Wrestle Hunks Podcast, a podcast where three hunks get together and discuss some of the very worst things you can find on the WWE Network, and the only podcast that wasn't brought up from NXT this past week. I'm your host, the Mordecai of Microphone, Brandon Marlow, and as always, I'm joined by the hunkiest hunk, Brody Price.
I'm ready to rumble.
You sound ready to rumble.
Yeah. Very awake.
It's that insomnia that'll get you. I'm also joined by the IMDb of wrestling and Nathan Marlow.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's weird, recorded in the mornings. It's fucking good old man to you.
Hope we've got a cup of Chino ready at the side.
I've just got a baby Chino, you know.
On the weak stuff.
It'll if I have anything more, it'll keep me up all night. So. So this week we are again brought to you by a sponsor, and this time it's DDPY Yoga. And Nat's going to give us a little bit more info about this revolutionary product.
This week's podcast is sponsored by DDPY Yoga. It ain't your mother's yoga. Hello, ladies. Get into a downward dog position. Now, my yoga will have you coming for more.
I'm disappointed that there's no VVY Yoga now.
I wonder what Val's doing these days. I hope Sean Morley's okay.
I reckon he's probably working indies somewhere.
Probably with Kevin Thorne in tag matches.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, six-man tag, Kevin Thorne, Gangrel, and Val Venus. Real motley crew there.
That's just what you would expect.
I'd probably pay between $5 and $13 to go down to my local gymnasium to see that.
I'd pay $16 if Jameson was managing him.
Honestly, if I got to see a six-man tag involving those three men, that's you'd be happy.
Could leave me coming for more.
Probably better than the World Series Wrestling card for their fucking next show, so...
Ouch. It's a bunch of indie flogs.
Bunch of flip-flop and fly guys with no psychology.
And probably the Joker, or buddy... What's his name? The bloody...
Crazy Steve. Still working the dark match.
He would definitely be working dark.
Yeah, but he's got it down pat. Like, everyone goes to it just to see him work the dark match, I think.
But his bloody dad, Mick Moretti, he's on some of the shows.
I can't believe that we went there the first time and he was working the dark match, and then we come back like 6 months later and he's still working dark.
He's plugging away.
Also, this week we're doing something a little different on the podcast. In honor of the 2019 Oscars ceremony, we're reviewing Ready to Rumble, a pretty iconic wrestling film starring former WCW World Champion and known deathmatch guy David Arquette. So, usually we do something from the network or a pay-per-view, maybe Walk with Elias documentary, but this week we're just headed to Hollywood.
It's free on YouTube.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah, I posted it on Twitter.
Is it in high quality, or is it just like average quality?
Perfect.
Really?
Perfect, and it was posted 4 years ago. So it's not going to get taken down anytime soon. I
definitely obtained Ready to Rumble in a very legal way.
Oh.
Not really. Well, if it's free on YouTube, though, it's not really illegal. Let's be real.
I went to Video Easy this weekend and rented it. So.
Yeah. So we'll see. My Civic Video closed down.
You know what you say when you go to Video Easy? It's got the rent it now or rent it free guarantee.
Absolutely.
Nice.
But yeah, you boys didn't choose to rent Ready to Rumble from YouTube or the PlayStation Store for $5?
Nah, that's silly.
Hey, $5 is a bargain.
I don't think I'll do it for $5 when it was free on YouTube. So
I'm pretty sure you can rent it from YouTube as well.
That's really stupid.
Maybe they should get onto that.
Because it was Saturday? No, it was Sunday. Yesterday, I was trying to watch it on Put Locker. Shh, don't tell anyone. And it just genuinely wouldn't load. So I was gonna, that YouTube channel that posts like clips of the movie.
Yeah.
They post decent clips, but then I just searched in Ready to Rumble. First one, full movie. Watched it, banged it out. What a movie it is.
The benefit of watching on YouTube, if you are disliking it, you could always bump up the video speed. So 1.25
That's
times
true.
speed. You don't really notice the difference at 1.25, so you get through it quicker. So, Ready to Rumble dominated the poll this week. It received almost 50% of the vote, and for a period of time there, I thought it was going to do even better than News Revolution did in the poll. But the Marine came back a little bit, and the Chaperone. I was surprised.
How do you feel about that, Brody?
About Ready to Rumble?
It's your pick. Yeah, it's your pick.
I know what the people want. Good choice.
I was very disappointed that Scooby-Doo WrestleMania Mystery didn't get much traction.
No, I'm going to watch that anyway, so it doesn't matter.
It'll probably be playing on 9 Go or something soon. So
That gets you into the WrestleMania spirit watching that.
it really does. They need to put that on the network. They need to put some of these WWE films on the network.
Yeah.
So I've got to ask before we get into the actual show, had either of you seen this movie before watching it for the podcast?
Yeah, I watched it when I was much younger. One of my friends had it, and I don't know, it probably would have been almost 15 years ago, probably. I watched this, so a little while ago, but still, one of the classics.
Shout out to that friend for having Ready to Rumble.
Yeah, I don't know why he had it, but it was, good choice.
What about you, Nat? I feel like you surely have watched this at some point.
I've never watched it.
Wow.
Just the big brand new experience. I went into it clear-headed. Oh, jeez, what a movie it is!
What a movie indeed. It's definitely a film.
Things happen in it, and they are fictional.
It's certainly got a beginning, middle, and an end, and actors in it. So
Roll credits.
let's jump into the history, build-up, and background for this film. It was released on April 7th, 2000 in the United States of America. However, it did not release in theatres here in Australia, instead receiving a direct-to-VHS release on February 21 of 2001, I believe. It was the anniversary not too long ago, so I hope everyone just poured one out for Ready to Rumble being released on VHS in Australia. On this day in history, we have South African cricket captain Hansi Cronje being charged by Delhi police with fixing one-day international matches against India. A cricket player fixing matches? I never.
That's a throwback.
Yeah, that really is. And then he dies in a plane crash, doesn't he?
I'm
pretty sure that happened.
I thought he was dead though.
He just died in a plane crash. So, cool. There was nothing else actually really happening on this day in history. So we moved to pop culture, where Scream 3 was the #1 movie at the box office. And it's weirdly coincidental because David Arquette is in Scream 3. So he had 2 movies going up against each other, and one of them comes out top of the box office. Unfortunately, Ready to Rumble never gets to #1, sadly.
Oh, Deputy Dewey. Plays a cop in both movies.
Hey, he's really been typecast. David Arquette as the cop. Also in pop culture, we've got Rise by Gabrielle, the #1 song on the charts. Not quite as good as Scream 3, but...
Wait, is that like that theme song for WrestleMania that one year?
Oh, definitely not. That theme is, I'd say, a lot better than Rise by Gabrielle.
Getting good.
That was a banger, and I reckon I saw that fucking little promo package on the network 100 times before at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think so.
You did that pretty well.
I mean, when you've heard it as many times, it just comes second nature.
So moving on here, the director of the film was Brian Robbins, and some of his other works in his career include Varsity Blues, The Shaggy Dog, Norbit, Meet Dave, and 2 episodes of Blue Mountain State, which I know Pricey would enjoy. You would have been, if you hadn't known that before this, you would have been really excited for Brian Robbins to direct this.
That was pretty favorite episodes as well, so that's good.
He also seems to be good friends with Eddie Murphy because, you know, he'd done Norbit and Meet Dave. And does the Shaggy Dog have... No, that's Tim Allen.
Yeah, it's, that's a movie that happens.
Yeah, so he doesn't have the greatest history, but, you know, he's made films, so it gives you some confidence going into Ready to Rumble.
That's true.
The writer for this film is Stephen Brill, and when I went on his IMDb, I found out that this man is in Sandy Wexler. He doesn't write Sandy Wexler; actually acts in the movie.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure he plays himself, but yeah, he's there. He also wrote all 3 Mighty Duck movies, so
Pricey loves that.
he's actually got like some decent pedigree under his belt, and then he's just like, you know what? I've been writing these hockey movies. I'm going to do another sports movie. I'm going to do Ready to Rumble. Pricey, your mic is cooked. It sounds like you're Matt Morgan. I think you're gonna have to go back to the old iPhone headphone microphone. It was working well for a bit there. I don't know what's going on.
Is that better?
Yeah.
For now.
I don't know what's going on.
Alright.
So the box office performance is something a little bit interesting about this film. Ready to Rumble opened in 2,585 theatres, which is an extremely wide release. It's like a pretty big film. And it ends up making just $5.2 million in its opening weekend. In the United States, it goes on to make a pitiful $12.3 million in total, and it only makes an extra $58,035 at the foreign box office. So I don't think it got a very wide release outside of the States. It's actually, I did a bit of research. It's the 51st worst opening for a film that was shown in over 2,500 theatres. And a little bit of more trivia. I know we've got a bunch of MacGruber fans here. MacGruber is like in the top 25 for worst openings of all time.
That's not right. I disagree with that.
Which is... I was having a look through like the things that ranked higher than Ready to Rumble. I'm like, all these films are like absolute garbage, or I've just never heard of them. And then like MacGruber, I'm like, that's one that got did dirty. It was a fucking hilarious film.
Very good film. I reckon people should go back and watch that if they haven't seen it.
MacGruber's funny.
They should go back and watch MacGruber, and then go back and watch MacGruber host Raw.
Yeah, it makes so much more sense.
We really should have suggested MacGruber. That's got a lot of wrestlers in it.
It really does.
Oh, we've got plenty of wrestling movies to go through.
Oh yeah, there'll be plenty of more Oscar ceremonies in the future.
There you go.
The production budget for this film was $24 million, which means the film made just over half the production budget back, and the production budget doesn't account for how much money they spent on marketing. So, no matter which way you look at it, this film was a gigantic flop at the box office. Was the critical reception any different? No, it wasn't. Ready to Rumble was slaughtered by critics upon its release. It has a 23% on Rotten Tomatoes, meaning that only 23% of the 60-plus critics thought it was worth a thumbs up. The average rating for the film is a 3.9 out of 10, and the critics' consensus is humour at its lowest that isn't funny for kids and is insulting to adults. So, pretty scathing there.
I'll be honest. This movie, it's not really suited for people who aren't wrestling fans.
Yeah, like we'll probably get into it a bit later on, but as a wrestling fan, you can see how like you'd get a kick out of it. But these random, just old ass reviewers who probably aren't into wrestling, might even like hate wrestling, they're probably not going to enjoy it.
No.
So I grabbed a couple of snippets from some of the top reviewers for this film. And we've got one from Brent Simon from Entertainment Today. He says, fans of arse and feces-based humour will be rolling in this sticky aisles. Others may be only slightly amused.
He's been listening to the podcast.
I had to put that one in when I saw that. Also, he doesn't sound that critical of it. He's like, oh, if you're into that humour, you will like it. And then if you don't, you'll be slightly amused. Like, that's a pretty positive review.
This next one sucks. You can just tell they hate wrestling.
Jay Boyer from the Orlando Sentinel, he kept it short and sweet. Yes, film fans, there is a new worst movie of all time.
That's a bit harsh. Jesus.
Yeah, honestly, I take exception with that. This movie isn't that bad. There are so many worse movies than Ready to Rumble.
Exactly.
Like, Jay Boyer was
Like the Paris Hilton movies.
Exactly. Just Jay Boyer with his just clickbait. No respect on this podcast for him.
He just hates the biz.
So we are moving to the production side of things here, and much like everything WCW, it did not go smoothly. Filming for this took place between the 28th of September in 1999 and the 9th of December, and Dave Meltzer has got some news about it. The first news comes when Eric Bischoff gets fired in kind of towards the end of 1999. This brings with it a number of changes in the wake of his firing. This includes the New Year's Eve pay-per-view that they were going to hold, which was also going to be a Kiss concert. That got cancelled, even though WCW had already put down a large non-refundable deposit fee for the date. The Kiss Demon character, which WCW spent $600,000 on, has been dropped as it was based on a deal Bischoff made with Gene Simmons. The $1 million giveaway was dropped, and the movie that's being filmed, which they don't have a name for at the moment, but it's Ready to Rumble. It was going to be dropped, but it's too far along in production to back out now, so they're going with it. Bischoff was supposed to have a starring role in the movie as an evil promoter, but he will now be replaced by actor Joe Pantoliano. Cosy to him. And Meltzer also adds that there's obviously going to be no more Road Wild pay-per-views because it was just an excuse for Eric Bischoff to fuck off with his motorbike. Which is disappointing. Could you imagine a 2001 version of Road Wild? How fucking dog shit that would have been.
Who?
That could have been the first episode we did, but didn't make air.
Oh, they could have had Canyon versus Booker T.
And then fucking Judy Bagwell can come out on a motorbike. Apparently, there was also a WCW cartoon in the works that was scheduled to be in production this month, but that also got scrapped. And WCW are kind of they're trying to hold booking meetings to plan in advance instead of booking on the fly. Basically, WCW is fucked at the moment. It had gotten so bad that a recent cable company sent out newspaper ads for the Fall Brawl pay-per-view, and the ads literally said, "We're the advertising agency, and they won't even tell us who's going to be there. For God's sake, don't miss it."
Jesus.
Which is,
you heard the man.
Something. And yeah, following Bischoff's firing, he gets banned from being backstage at WCW events, which I'm not sure why he would be there, but good on him, I guess. We move on to the November 1st Wrestling Observer, where Meltzer reports that they're still filming Ready to Rumble in Los Angeles, and a lot of the wrestlers are frustrated due to the long hours and all the retakes they have to shoot. And DDP has basically pushed and politicked his way into being one of the top stars of the movie. Apparently he wasn't originally supposed to be, and now he's going to be playing the heel world champion. I'm not exactly sure what the wrestlers expected. They're in a movie and they're frustrated about the long hours and the retakes they do. That's how movies work.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what did you expect? Fucking, they just think they're just going to go and do it one take like they do down at Nitro, that fucking clown show.
Probably.
Now, honestly, some of them probably did think that. I imagine Sid would have thought he would be like, "Oh, what? I can't just bumble my way through my lines." So the next week in the Observer, Meltzer reports that Pee Wee Herman, Courtney Cox, and Marilyn Manson all filmed scenes for the upcoming WCW movie, which is officially titled Ready to Rumble. Which none of these people were in the movie. So
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if Meltzer is full of shit or like what happened to that, because I would have loved some Pee Wee Herman in this.
That could really lighten it up. That'd be fun.
Pee Wee Herman would have fit in this movie, weirdly enough. I don't think Marilyn Manson would have fit, but Pee Wee Herman.
Courtney Cox would make sense. I mean,
she was married to Arquette at the time.
Get your girlfriend a gig.
Yeah, that fucking nonsense Friends show. It's going nowhere. Come do my stupid wrestling flick.
Also, fuck Rose McGowan or whatever.
Wow, you don't like Rose McGowan?
Did you read that she didn't even want to be in the film?
Yeah, I've got some trivia at the end about her at the end, and yeah, she is scathing about this film. Other news from this week, though, is that Rey Mysterio tore it's reported that he tore his meniscus in the filming of a scene here, and DDP had been written off TV with an injury because he has a major role in the movie and he's filming his scenes in the next couple of weeks. So The next bit of news we get is from the December 5th Wrestling Observer, where we find out that Rey Mysterio actually got knee surgery for a torn ACL. He injured it during the film, as I just mentioned, but he didn't want to get surgery because he felt like he was actually getting a chance to be a star under Russo, which is something all the previous bookers never gave him. But Russo actually insisted he get the surgery because he didn't want Mysterio making it worse, and they want him at 100%, so he's going to be out for a while, which is one of the rare times where I'm like, oh, Russo is a good guy. Like, no point Ray just absolutely shredding his knee, especially not for 2000s WCW.
Yeah,
That's true.
Good choice.
And my final bit of notes about the production is that on the 27th of April, David Arquette would win the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, and 12 days later, he would lose the belt in a triple cage match to promote Ready to Rumble. And also, the character of Sal Bandini in this movie is based on Lou Thesz and Stu Hart, which I read that before the movie, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then when he showed up in the movie, I'm like, I can see a lot of Stu Hart in this guy.
Yeah, that actually makes sense now you've said that.
I could definitely imagine Owen Hart going up to Sal Bandini and going, "That's my brother in there." And also Chris Kanyon was Oliver Platt's stunt double, which he plays not Gordy, whatever, I can't remember that character's name.
Yeah.
And Shane Helms was David Arquette's stunt double. So
There you go.
nice little tidbit there. But that brings us to the actual movie itself, and we're kind of just going to go through the plot here and give some thoughts that we have on individual scenes before we kind of do a review summary at the end. So this movie kicks off at a convenience store, and some adult is giving a full-on lecture to some kids about wrestling. David Arquette is there slamming a slushie, and apparently he gets high and starts hallucinating. He imagines a full-on wrestling match involving the Macho Man Randy Savage, and then he finishes his slushie, but his mate says that he wanted some, so Arquette goes inside to get a refill. While he's inside, a cop shows up and starts patting down Arquette's friend, and apparently the cop is Arquette's dad, and he does not approve of wrestling. My first note on this movie is this reminded me of the classic slushy scene from Dumb and Dumberer.
Good scene. Good. The god awful stuff.
Don't let the YouTube bias tell you that it's god awful, because it's great.
It's good. It works for everyone.
You gotta drink it fast, Harry. You gotta drink it fast.
Please.
Go, Harry, go.
Oh, fucking damn it.
Dumb and Dumberer is better than Dumb and Dumber. It's a fact.
Oh, that's not even a hot take. That's just the truth.
Like the scene where he thinks he's shit all over the walls. There's shit everywhere.
You guys always find a way to talk about that fucking scene.
It's because it's a good scene.
It's a cinematic masterpiece. And my first question of the movie is, what the fuck is wrong with David Arquette's character in the beginning? Like,
Yeah, it's a good call.
He's thinking about wrestling all the time.
but like at the start, he seems like so like simple-minded, and then like for the rest of the movie, he's just kind of normal, just obsessed with wrestling. At the start, I was like, is he playing like a Adam Sandler character circa 2010? Like, what's going on here? I was expecting more from Arquette, but then it kind of gets better later on. Before I learned about Jimmy King and his finishing maneuvers, I was excited that in the hallucination scene, they both do double axe handles off the second, which this is basically your dream movie, Pricey.
Yeah, maybe this is where I originally got it from. I don't know. But the double axe handle is
Might have.
deadly. Maybe I just copied Jimmy King. I'm not too sure.
There's a lot of weirdness going on in this scene. David Arquette's dad full-on grabs his friend's nuts, which I was extremely weirded out by when I didn't know it was his dad, and then even more weirded out by when I found out it was his dad. I'm like, hey, what's going on there? Also, something I forgot to mention is when Arquette goes to get the refill, he says that there's something off about it, and he shoves it in the clerk's face, and he's just like, oh, that smells awful. Well, before that, he's actually got his finger up his ass. And
Which I
Why do you have your finger up your ass?
So why does it look like you got your finger up your ass?
Because I do.
I was expecting so little from the film when it opened with that. I'm like, this is fucking going to be terrible.
I thought that was so good. Like, what a great way to get a free Slurpee.
It actually is pretty ingenious.
Might have to do that. Head down to 7-Eleven after this and get 2 for 1.
And a little bit of trivia for this opening scene. Oliver Platt, who plays Sean, that's his name, Sean, accidentally struck Randy Savage in the face during the filming of this scene. And you can see footage of this incident during the blooper reel that's shown during the closing credits. So, shout out to Macho Man, just taking it for the business he loves.
What a man.
But before I move on to the next scene, you got any thoughts on how we kick off Ready to Rumble?
I've recommended this scene for anyone that hasn't seen it. It's very good.
It honestly, it really informs you of what kind of movie it's going to be.
Yeah, that's true.
Like you get plenty of like dick and ass and poop humor there, so you're prepared for the rest of the film and the kind of shit that you're gonna have to put up with. Anything from you, Nat?
I thought it was weird that we didn't get much of Randy Savage after this. We didn't get any at all, sorry.
Yeah, it is. Actually, does Randy Savage show up briefly in Jimmy King's first match?
I don't know. But
I think he briefly shows up like when they do the introductions, but then he disappears. I think from memory.
I just want to say that wrestling ring in the shop, that looked a bit stiffsky.
Yeah.
That floor didn't have any give on it.
I'm forgiving concrete floor on the outside of the ring.
I know.
So moving on here, they then go to their job as sewage workers, and Gordy plays a classic prank on Sean. Sean goes to take a dump in the porta potty, and Gordy connects one of the big vacuums to the porta potty that they use to suck out the shit, and it kind of sucks him in there, and the toilet paper's flying around. And Sean's not happy about that. He says Jimmy King's gonna get bad karma for doing that, which you're gonna have to wait and see. But that might come into play later on.
What?
It's a bit of foreshadowing. So Gordon and Sean kind of work a match at this amusement park that they're working at before they head down to their local fast food restaurant, which seems to be some kind of version of Taco Bell, to commit sexual harassment. Just jumping off what I said before, there's so much shit humour in the first 10 minutes, which is increased tenfold by the fact that they're actual sewage workers. I'm like, yeah, and fucking, yeah, of course, they're sewage workers. Yeah, that just works perfectly.
Makes sense.
And I had a nice little quote when they head down to the fast food restaurant where, they get their meals and they're enjoying their succulent meals. And Sean says, in reference to Wendy, who's working at the fast food restaurant, and she's kind of into wrestling, he says, she's too much like one of the guys. And Gordy replies, that's bad. And Sean says, that's gay. So I was like, yep, this is the 2000s.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, there's a nice little comedic timing on that, though. Like, you know, it hasn't aged well, but
Yeah,
like, I'd be lying
right.
if I wasn't like, okay, that was timed pretty well. Any thoughts on their sexual harassment and their workers at the old amusement park as sewage workers?
Yeah, nice vertical suplex.
Yeah. Oh, yes, it was.
Yeah. Obviously, they've got the basics down.
I will say Brittany's a dog.
Yeah.
Even though they treat her like shit.
Brittany's the stone cold ice woman.
Even though they treat her like shit. I don't know.
Yeah, they really do.
Don't know why she wouldn't date them.
Gordy's very over the top as well. Just
Get a bare ass Brittany.
Jesus.
yeah, I don't know if you can get away with that in a film in 2019.
Oh, I'm sure you can.
There's the Wild West in 2000. So moving on, Sean and Gordy have got tickets to the WCW Monday Nitro show later that night to see their absolute fucking idol, Jimmy King. And they believe they're about to see another King victory, but what ensues is their favourite wrestler getting beat up for real in the ring, losing his championship belt and getting publicly fired for life from WCW by Titus Sinclair. After the match, the two fans expressed their rage in their septic truck, which results in them crashing it. And then the world's worst truck driver smashes into their overturned truck, covering everyone in shit and toilet paper.
Oh, yeah, but don't worry, there's toilet paper.
So that was convenient. It'll make the clean up a lot easier.
I can't believe you just skipped over the empowering best friends moment where Sean gives Gordy the "What would King do" bracelet.
Oh yeah, I did skip over that. Yeah, what would King do bracelet? And Gordy's like,
what would he do?
That's kind of cool. But then he's like,
Well,
I made two.
In WWE terms, he'd be like, puppies.
Well, actually, it might seem obvious, but Jimmy King is actually, apparently, according to what I read on IMDb, it's based on Jerry the King Lawler and Ric Flair. So the King part is very obvious. I think the family stuff with like his son later on, that's kind of like taken from Ric Flair and David Flair.
Yeah, I get that.
So there's a lot going on in this scene where they go to Nitro. We find out that Sean's Uncle Billy lost his right nut in Nam.
So is that his left nut?
And then, yeah, he's just like, do you have a right and left nut if you only have one?
That's deep. That's really deep.
They get real horny when the Nitro girls come out. They're just...
Oh, it's the Nitro girls.
They're arguing over which one's the best one. Real fucking thirsty.
It's got to be Sasha, doesn't it?
Oh,
The boss.
It's got to be the other one.
I forgot what the other one is.
Stacey Keebler.
Yeah, Stacey Keebler.
Or Shawn Michaels' wife. Or Sharmell.
I'm very disappointed that they didn't have the actual Nitro girls in there. Or did they have that?
Sharmell's in it. Sharmell's in it.
Where the fuck is Stacey then? Isn't she a Nitro girl?
Yeah, but maybe she said, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, so in this scene, we get introduced to the evil Titus Sinclair, who's the fake Eric Bischoff, and he actually kind of does a bit of a Montreal screw job here with DDP, which is, you know, pretty relevant in 2000. The screw job's still kind of fresh. I want to know how the fuck they get better seats here, because they start off sitting in the nosebleeds. They're literally like sitting in like on like a pole. And then they
just walk up to the fence.
They're like, let's get a better look at the Nitro girls. And then all of a sudden they're just sitting in good seats. So, like, the WCW crowd's struggling that bad that they can just walk up and sit wherever they want.
Classic when you're at the footy at the MCG and you just, you keep going up a couple rows if there's spare space.
You eye them off and you go, quarter time, no one's sitting in those, we'll go down there. And then you do that and you go, half time, no one comes to those ones, we'll go to those ones.
What is that? They're like, if no one's sitting there by the cruiserweight match, we'll go up there.
I'm gonna ask you boys, how the fuck was Jimmy King the top talent? He looks like he'd be working at the DMV or something. Homeboy is out of shape, all slobby, and apparently he is like the draw.
It's not about how you wrestle. It's your character.
Well, that's kind of true because Jimmy King spits a dope rap in his pre-match promo. I was like, at this point, they should have just had Double J, Jeff Jarrett, play the main character. He could have come out, sang, fucking called someone slapnuts.
Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised we're not do you have what the rap is? Because that's pretty entertaining stuff.
I considered writing it down, but I was like, nah, there's too much going on there for me to accurately transcribe what's going on from Jimmy King. During their entrances, there's so many wrestlers like in the ring, but then they just like disappear when the match starts, which confused me a lot. It's like,
yeah,
why?
That was weird.
Why are they out here? But then they just disappear. Also, similar thing is, why is there a random table at ringside?
Oh, just in case. You never know when you're going to need a table.
I was like, is that the announce table? No one's at it. It's just a random table.
If you notice when they go through that table, there's nothing on the table. Well, not really. And then when they go through it, there's lots of stuff on the table.
Yeah, I did notice that as well. I'm like, okay, cool. I think my favourite part of this scene is that Lil Nate gets a line. He says, "You do your job, I'll do mine." Which
Classic Nate.
I feel like Nate would still be getting checks from this movie for getting a line there. So good on you, Lil Nate.
That's almost enough to get into the Actors Guild.
Apparently, I read that Tony Schiavone gets $200 to $300 every single year from royalties from this movie.
Wow, that's pretty good. He has like 2 sentences.
Yeah, it's pretty good considering like what he is. Imagine like what DDP would get for doing Ready to Rumble.
Yeah.
I think that basically sums up all my notes on this scene. You boys got anything else you want to add?
Time for a hip toss, baby. Stuff like that.
How loud do they call their spots? They're fucking louder than Cena calls his spots.
I know. I can believe it. Surely they could hear that.
Well, I've just got that it's not like WCW to give away a pay-per-view main event on free TV.
Yeah, definitely not.
And I just said, hopefully the winner gets DDPY, like the brand rights. And I was surprised Tony Schiavone didn't use his classic line that he'd use every single Nitro. This is the greatest moment in professional wrestling history. We're out of time.
That really would have fit. That was actually a pretty big moment in the history of their sport, and they don't really do anything with it.
The 14-year undefeated streak came to an end.
Unbelievable. So it's just such a long.
I feel like
streak
that didn't get played up enough.
Honestly, it kind of feels like they're taking the piss out of having Goldberg's streak end so like nonchalantly as well.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Like half the time, I couldn't tell whether this film was like celebrating WCW or just taking the fucking piss out of it.
Yeah, it flip-flops between it a lot.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of weird for WCW to be like officially associated with this when a lot of it's like them taking the piss out of it. Also, a lot of like the dumb shit, like you would usually be like, oh, that's unrealistic in a wrestling movie, makes sense here. Like, what are the rules of that Jimmy King DDP match they have here? It's like a singles match, but 100 people interfere and no one gets disqualified. Then
It's a hardcore match.
Is it a hardcore match?
No, I'm just assuming.
But like,
just because later on, when we get Disco Inferno versus DDP, it's a hardcore match.
well, because this is WCW, it kind of makes sense that none of the fucking rules actually matter. So, like, actually, that's very accurate. So either of you got any final notes here before I give you a little bit of trivia about this scene?
No.
No, hit me.
Well, this was the scene where Rey Mysterio tore his ACL. They do the opening tag match here. It's Rey, Billy Kidman, Moving Groove Guerrero, and Prince Ikea. I think that's how you pronounce his name.
Juventud liked my tweet.
Moving Groove liked your tweet about what?
I tagged him in a second tweet because I was like, oh, let's just see what random person I could tag on it. And I did, hopefully John Cena and Juventud could be in the sequel.
Well. But yeah, this is the scene where Rey injures his knee, so I hope it was worth it, Rey. I hope you get those residuals every year, and it was worth tearing your ACL. Because basically, it's Ready to Rumble's fault that Rey's knees were fucking cooked so badly a few years ago. And fucking somehow he found the fountain of youth and he can just go like crazy now, but for a while, Ready to Rumble fucking ruined his career. So moving on, after this event, Gordy believes that the car crash was fate and that they should make Jimmy King once again world champion. Sean agrees to help Gordy, and the dim-witted duo goes on a quest to put their king back on his throne. They hitch a ride to Atlanta with a van full of nuns, and the next day they meet Isaac, a nerdy wrestling fan whose father seems to think everything Isaac does is for pussies. They ask their new friend to use his internet knowledge to find out where the washed-up wrestler lives, and Isaac succeeds in finding King's address, and the boys go to an unexpected-looking neighbourhood. They find King's estranged wife Eugenia and his uneducated son Frankie, who both happen to be far from the queen and prince type that he's played up on Nitro. Eugenia reveals that the king left them a while ago to run off with another girl and never returned or sent anything for child support. They later meet Jimmy King's parents, and Jimmy King's dad is actually played by David Arquette's dad.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a little bit of nugget of information there. And they reveal that Jimmy King borrowed their mobile home but never returned it. A lot going on in this little section here. Shout out to the sing-along that they have with the nuns.
No.
What, you didn't like it?
No, I said the nun scene is one of the worst in history
What?
of movies.
Whoa.
What? I like that. I thought that was one of the first genuinely funny moments of the movie.
And how do they follow it up? They say, "Oh, the farting nuns."
They farted, bro.
The
That was
farting
funny.
nuns.
So when they meet Isaac, they meet him in I think it's a diner of some sort, and he's playing an arcade game based around Jimmy King, and it is the world's worst looking video game. Fucking hell. Like,
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
it's absolute fucking garbage. And Isaac, I thought, also looks like a school shooter. Just looks like he just fucking snap one day and massacre a school. So I was a little distrustful of him at first.
Isaac's Shermanator from American Pie, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Respect. That's the only reason I know that guy.
I want to know why, when they're at Isaac's house and he's doing his super secret hacking, which apparently you just can Google Jimmy King's address and then you get his whole life info. Why is Gordy making Jimmy King fuck the DDP action figure? That is not what that's not what I used to do with my action figures.
Because Jimmy King's going to fuck him up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very homoerotic. Also, I didn't write it down, but shout out to Sean dancing to "Hit Me Baby One More Time." That's how you know this movie was filmed in the late 90s.
That was so good.
This shit made no sense.
It's-
Why did he tell him to shut up? But he's just dancing and singing top of his lungs.
Exactly, and like, there's literally no reason for him to be singing to that. Like, there's no purpose to it. It's not
Just
really
like,
a funny joke.
here's this reference.
It's like, oh, just so you know that this was set in the 2000, it's going to age poorly. Here's a Britney Spears song. And I think my favourite quote from this section is when they go to see Eugenia, and she says, "You ever seen crabs up close? You want to see?"
Yes.
Gordy is actually very enticed by that offer.
Oh, he wants to see the King's Men inside Eugenia.
So, any notes on these couple of scenes here?
I don't have any notes for this, but I forgot to mention before, Miss Mackenzie is the GOAT. She's my favourite character in this movie.
Oh, she's a go-getter.
Yeah, what were you about to say there, mate?
Oh, I wasn't going to say anything bad. She's a ring rat.
She loves it.
You got to watch yourself, Nate. You can't get any more internet Twitter controversies today.
Well, I better be careful because a lot of people's fan accounts have been getting suspended.
Really, is that an actual thing?
Just for random stuff, like, yeah. So maybe I have to go dark.
Hopefully they don't suspend any Kenyan wrestling fan accounts.
Well, you know what? I'll just change it from being Kenyan and to being Canyon.
Kenyan fan. So, moving on here, the duo finally finds Jimmy King with the help of Isaac. He's hiding in a trailer park and he's drunk and dressed like a woman. For reasons, I'm not entirely sure why. After paying Jimmy King $30 for a 5-minute encounter, they have a conversation in which King says that he's given up on wrestling. Gordy and Sean, with their stupidity, anger King to the point where he suddenly attacks the two boys. The boys encourage King to beat them up, convincing him that he can still fight and that he should fight DDP again. King accepts the offer and knocks out the boys with his finishing move. He crowns them, which I love. The two boys then wake up the next day to find Jimmy King ready to take a shot at wrestling again. I don't have many notes, but dead set, the joke where they're talking about Gordy and Sean are talking to King about like trying to track him down and how they like. King's talking about how his parents died in a plane crash and shit. He's had a rough life, and Gordy and Sean are like, "Oh yeah, your wife says that it was actually you who left them," and then oh good news, your parents aren't dead anymore. Like that's actually was genuinely funny. I actually enjoyed that.
That was the good stuff.
So,
Did you catch Did you catch that Jimmy King overcame a broken back to beat Canyon?
Yeah,
He
it was
did.
like a week later or something, wasn't it?
That's intense.
Yeah.
He'll work through injuries. Maybe that's why Ray wanted to work through his ACL. He's like, if Jimmy King does it, I should do it.
Absolutely.
Any notes on the trailer park scene?
No, it was good stuff. Good quality content.
So next up, they arrive at the WCW arena where they hide King in a porta potty, and they meet one of the Nitro girls, Sasha, who is played by Rose McGowan, who just she loved this movie. When DDP cuts a promo with Titus Sinclair mocking Jimmy King, King comes out of the porta potty and beats him up. King asks for a rematch, which Sinclair agrees to with a few conditions. The match will be a triple cage match for the World Heavyweight Championship between DDP and King. And if King wins, he not only regains the belt, but he also gets $1 million cash prize. However, if King loses, he will never wrestle again in WCW or anywhere else. Gordy and Sean agree with the terms, not listening to King's protest. And I didn't mention it, but this scene actually kicks off with Gordy and Sean walking along, and apparently the Nitro girls just have their locker room, like change room door, wide open while they're getting nude in their panties, and they're just fucking. There's an extensive 30-second section where they're just drooling over the Nitro girls. This movie is real horny for those Nitro girls.
David Arquette just says you have big breasts.
Yeah, when Sasha shows up, say, "Yeah, you have big breasts."
So, it's really, I don't know there's not much to say about that scene. I don't think that's pretty good. Pretty good. I was just wondering when it was going to end. It just felt like it kept going on. To be honest,
Yeah, it just kept cutting to different shots of the Nitro girls. And I'm like, what is going on here? So in this scene, we got Disco Inferno, I think, making his first appearance in the movie, and he's just standing around like a fucking goober. And
You hear in the background over the loudspeaker DDP versus Disco Inferno.
oh, really? Did you hear that?
In a hardcore match. That's where I got it from.
Really?
Yeah, for the title. So that's a grudge match.
Yeah, in Disco Inferno getting a real serious push for a dude who never drew a dime in his life.
Disco's ready to put anyone over.
We also find out that the Jimmy King and Diamond Dallas Page championship match is going to take place at the exact same arena that AEW is running Double or Nothing.
Yeah, I have that. There's no way that Hangman vs. Park is going to be as good as King vs. DDP.
100%.
Honestly, AEW, they got the freedom to do fucking weird shit. If they either don't do a triple cage match, to have a match where people pretend to be Jimmy King and DDP, or if people don't just pretend, someone doesn't just wear Jimmy King gear or something, that's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, some guys have special gear for certain events. Someone's going to have Jimmy King gear for this one, I think.
Sure, you have David Arquette just on for that.
Yeah, they should actually bring David Arquette, get him to wrestle in the cop outfit, come to the ring on his cop bike.
It's fucking Kenny King versus David Arquette.
My final note was just this kind of storyline, this shit could have happened legitimately on Nitro in the 2000s, so it's a very, very realistic movie so far. Before we move on, any thoughts on Jimmy King getting his shot at DDP here?
No. Nat might have something.
I have something, and I just got. You said Jimmy King doesn't look like a star, but he just reminds me a bit of Dusty Rhodes. He's the son of the plumber. He's a hard worker.
He's the everyman,
and that's why he is our king. So he represents the working class.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. He's a very
Also,
very relatable character.
But he seems very up himself, so I don't get it.
Yeah, he is. I feel like they don't talk about that enough. But it's clear that Titus Sinclair is a fucking he's a dastardly heel. But also Jimmy King seems difficult to work with. We didn't mention at the start, but he rocks up late to Nitro for his match with DDP. And when Sinclair's laying out the match, he's just he's gonna win with the old crown. Just fucking tell King when he gets here. So, like, I can understand why he would want to screw him out of it, and also I feel like that might be kind of a shot at WCW again. Like, their stars were...
That's kind of like Hogan.
Yeah, their stars were known for, like, just no-showing things. Like, they would no-show house shows all the time and just doing whatever the fuck they want. So I can't believe WCW agreed to be in this when it's basically, like, taking a lot of shots at them. So moving on here, after Nitro, they're having a party in the parking lot, apparently. I guess maybe this is a precursor to the DBRC posse parties that would happen.
You know what it's time for this? You know what this calls for? Party! In the fucking parking lot out of the one caravan.
So later that night during the party, Sasha flirts with Gordy and she says that she's impressed with him and what went down on Nitro. And we get an extensive scene of everybody dancing. We see Jimmy King. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna go on a diet. I'm gonna train real hard for this. And he cracks open a couple of raw eggs and then he downs one, does a chaser, fucking downs another, and then he spews it up. I think it was actually before that though. Mean Gene's cutting a rug. He's just fucking out there dancing inside out. And then at one point he goes up to Jimmy King and goes, "Do you think I'm sexy?"
I think you're sexy.
Jimmy King goes, "I think you're sexy." Why? I don't understand why that is a thing.
You got to get Mean Gene in there somewhere. So
honestly, Mean Gene might be the best part of this. It's just such a left field. I'm like, why is he? Well, I don't know why he would ask Jimmy King that, but I'm glad he did. Got any thoughts of the actual party bit before Jimmy King will run off here?
No, just great scene again.
He's just covered in shit.
So after he kind of does his little raw eggs, King, out of sheer panic, tries to run away because he doesn't want to do the match, but he falls into a sewer and the boys find him eventually and convince him that they found the perfect trainer for him. They find Sal Bandini. He's an old school trainer who likes to train his students by beating them up and putting them through excruciating submission holds. Sal agrees to train King and therefore starts beating him up. And so here, to try and convince Jimmy King to keep going with the match, Gordy and Sean sing a Jimmy King song. It's just a beautiful rendition. You know, they haven't quite nailed it down yet, but when they do, it's going to be a banger.
It was good so far. Good start.
And so when Sal is, putting a beating down on King eventually retaliates and kicks him in the head, and they kind of think that Sal is dead. And this bit here is taken straight from Happy Gilmore when they think Happy's killed Bob Barker. Like, as soon as he kicked him in the head and he was laying, like, unconscious, I'm like, 100% he's going to just jump up and beat the shit out of him. And then fucking he did, so...
Sal Bandini, wanna wrestle?
What is? I swear that dude is from something that we've seen, like some Nickelodeon show or some shit.
Looks familiar.
No idea.
Is he? Okay, now I don't know. Pricey, are you very familiar with the hit kids sitcom Drake and Josh?
Oh yeah, I watched it during my childhood. Yeah.
Do you remember an episode where, like, so Josh is really into magic, yeah?
Right.
And
Oh my god.
he has some like mentor that's like really old that's into magic. Is this the same dude?
I don't remember that one, if I'm being honest.
I need to.
I'll go on his IMDb right now. You continue on.
Yeah. So, Pricey, do you have any thoughts on this scene? It's a kind of short one where it just kind of shows that he's going to get some actual proper wrestling training.
Oh, just Jimmy King is better than all the wrestler. It's just a good little line in their song, I thought.
He's the bestler.
He's the bestler, yeah.
It's just a good little ditty. Something I would expect from David Arquette.
They came up with that on the fly, those guys. So just read to them.
How you going tracking down if this is the same man, Nat?
He was in The Simpsons. He was the great Raymundo.
Wow, the great Raymundo.
I know what he's from. He's from The Twilight Zone.
Ooh.
He's in a few of those episodes. Just trying to go through because he's got a fucking big film career because he's very old. He's in the original Mission Impossible series.
I've looked it up, and the episode that I'm thinking of is The Great Doheny. And I definitely don't think it's him. I need to find the fucking... Here we go. No, it's a different... This is Steve Tom played the Great Doheny. He kind of looks like him.
Close enough.
Is he the one in Gilligan's Island? He's in a special, Gilligan's Island. Harlem Globetrotters special. That's a thing.
Oh, good on him. So do you have any notes on this scene, Matt, before we move on to a real sticky scene that's coming up?
No. He's just an old school worker. Bloody Sal Bandini want to wrestle. Hopefully that's what goes down at the MCW Academy.
Someone pops up and just goes, want to wrestle?
Gino Gambino.
So in the next scene here, it's kind of weird. Gordy is apparently going on a date with Nitro Girl Sasha at her apartment, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but she doesn't ask him out on a date or anything. It just kind of... It just happens, which I was like, oh, okay, that's happening now. But yeah, they're supposed to be going out somewhere, but she's like, oh, why don't we stay in? And then the talk turns to wrestling, and she wants him to do some wrestling moves on her, which ends up making her super horny, and they go into the bedroom and they fuck. This is just the most unrealistic scene in the movie. David Arquette ain't fucking Nitro Girl Sasha. So they go into the bedroom. They do some wrestling moves, and Sasha just rips open her top, gets her tits out, and Gordy yells out "foreign objects," and he just starts hitting her, and then it kind of pulls back, and then you see their silhouettes in the window of the apartment, and they're full just fighting each other, and that's kind of their like metaphor or whatever for them fucking, which I actually really enjoyed. I think this is the GOAT sex scene in film history.
I won't lie. I really thought when she pulled her top off, she was going to say Sal Bandini or whatever.
Did you imagine? Just bang. Sal. Oh my god. I know what needs to be done now, Nat.
What?
Take that scene. She rips open her top, but then over her boobs, you edit in Sal Bandini's face. Sal Bandini, want to wrestle? I want to make that now.
Oh Jesus!
So, any thoughts on the best sex scene in film history?
I mean, you're just going to gloss over the best quote of the movie.
And that is...
He says, "Do pelos nachos." And then, are you fluent in Spanish? No, I'm fine.
There are a lot of like dumb gags like that actually they just come off really funny.
Just the delivery.
Honestly, you know what? If Adam Sandler replaced David Arquette in this, I feel like this movie would be like remembered fondly. They'd be like, "Oh, this was pretty good."
That would be hilarious.
Turns out the snapmare is one of the most sexual moves you can do. Apparently, that was the move that got him into the bedroom. So
that's a snapmare. Oh, come fuck me, Sal Bandini. So, moving on here, Gordy, we see him sending a letter to his angry cop father. Gordy tells his father that he's not going to be joining him in the policeman test that he wants him to take. The whole Gordy family are police officers, even his sister, who shot a perp in the buttock. That happened earlier that we skipped over. So Gordy's dad reads it and he puts the postcard on the fridge, and then he proceeds to shoot it with his gun about 15 times, missing it every time except the last one, which I don't know why I enjoyed this, but I did. So after that, the boys think that Jimmy King should get a partner to, as backup, because DDP's got all his goons, and they turn to fellow WCW wrestler Bill Goldberg, who apparently used to be Jimmy King's partner, but Goldberg refuses to help Jimmy King due to the way King treated him in the past. And this scene is actually where John Cena makes his cameo, and I actually spotted it. Did you both of you spot Cena in the background here?
Yeah, I did, because I've seen the photo of it.
Yeah, same.
I was expecting to be like, I would just like forget about it and then be like, oh yeah, Cena was supposed to be in this movie. Yeah, spotted a young Jonathan Cena, just pounding iron.
John Anthony Felix Cena.
Does he ever explain like how he was like what resulted in him getting in this movie? Like, what did he just show up one day? Was he just in the gym or?
I think he was just in the gym.
I am prototype.
I was like, hey, big meathead, come be in this movie.
What? I'm surprised we saw him.
That's a good one. If this scene is anything to go off of, Goldberg's Santa movie that we spoke about in the No Way Out 2004 episode must be the absolute shits.
What? I thought it was good.
He was fucking terrible. Complaining about Jimmy King.
Do you reckon he was lifting real weights or fake weights?
I reckon Goldberg's a shoot guy. He would have been lifting real weights.
Nice.
So yeah, any thoughts on John Cena's cinematic debut here?
That was a masterpiece.
Masterpiece.
Yeah.
Anything from you, Nat?
It happened, and it's definitely not the Marine.
Yeah, you know what? The Marine is seen as real film debut. I actually had somebody, when I put up the poll, and I referred to the Marine being John Cena's film debut, and then somebody was like, just jokingly, they were like, actually, Cena's debut is in Ready to Rumble. Like, yeah. Cool.
Awesome.
If he's uncredited, it doesn't count.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't count. So after that, I assume it's later that night, we see Sal Bandini in his house just watching telly, having some snacks, and he ends up being assaulted and injured by WCW thugs Sid Vicious and Perry Saturn, which... Was Perry Saturn not in the WWF at this point?
Not when it came out.
So, like, April...
During filming, he was... Yeah.
So April
Radical
2000.
Was 2000.
Okay, yeah. I thought it might have been like that.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird that... It's so weird that Perry Saturn is featured, like, kind of prominently in this. Like, surely you had bigger talent to bring in than Perry Saturn.
Fucking Macho Man.
Yeah, like Macho Man or Nash, maybe a fucking drunken high Scott Hall. That would have been entertaining. So yeah, he gets the shit kicked out of him, and he has to go to hospital. And at the hospital, Gordy overhears Sasha on the phone to Titus Sinclair and realizes that Sasha has actually been faking their relationship to try and spy on Jimmy King, and he actually ends up breaking up with her.
Oh no.
My only note from here is that Sid and Perry being incompetent as fuck when they're trying to beat up Sal Bandini at first is like fucking great. I thought that was funny as fuck. I feel like Perry Saturn shows more charisma in this movie than he ever did, well, for anything I've seen him do in the WWF or WCW.
That's true, and it reminded me of the Home Alone invaders.
Yeah, it really does have a Home Alone feel of them, like fucking, oh, we're going to get him in the kitchen, and they go into the kitchen and he's not there anymore.
Sal Bandini wanna wrestle.
And then the mannequin just sitting on the couch. I wonder, how did he get that mannequin stuff together so quickly? Why does he have a mannequin?
He's the Grandmaster. He's quick.
Ed, you two got any thoughts on Sal Bandini wanting to wrestle here?
Just a master of the graps, really, isn't he?
Well, I just have we're going back to basics to find our heart. Can I come? No, because you don't have one.
Oh, that's actually a pretty good burn. That's one of those things you would, in real life, you would, like, that situation would happen and you'd say something dumb, and then in the shower later that night, you'd be like, fuck, I should have said that.
That was a game changer.
So, as you mentioned, under Sal Bandini Wanna Wrestle's advice, he wants them to kind of get back to basics and hide out until the match. So, Gordy and Sean bring King to their hometown of Lusk, Wyoming. And on the way, King goes to his wife to apologise and promises, after 2 kicks to the groin, to use the $1 million cash prize to make it up to her and their son, and get their son a proper dentist for his fucked up robot teeth that he has. Yeah, there's not a lot going on here, except that, hell yeah, we get a fucking classic Kid Rock song in the travelling montage. WWE put his WrestleMania 25 performance on the network, you cowards.
He's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, exactly, put his performance from WrestleMania 25 on the network. You've already dogged me by not putting it on the DVD.
Exactly.
I wanted him to sing fucking that All Summer Long song that he had. That was a banger.
I forgot to mention before. I've just wrote down here. I had the same as you. I said Sid Zaguba in this movie. I can't believe he agreed to do this because think about it. He had to have read this script, right? That he was going to look like a fucking idiot.
He's like reading it and he's like, oh, and then Sid fucking is a bumbling fucking.
He's reading it and he's like, I can't read, but yeah, I'll do it.
I think maybe he did it because it's, movies aren't filmed live.
So he keep doing the takes over and over.
But yeah, we kind of move on here, and upon their arrival in Lusk, Wyoming, Gordy's father just comes streaming in with his police car and picks up his son and convinces him that his dreams of wrestling are fucking stupid. That night, though, while Gordy is studying for his police exam, Sean and the King try to bust Gordy out of his room. But Gordy refuses. He's actually being kind of mature here, saying that it's time that he actually gets real with his life and actually do something proper instead of trying to help a washed-up wrestler regain his glory. We then see King and Sean holding auditions to try and find an entourage to help Jimmy King during the match. Many candidates show up, but no one makes the cut, and King realises he's going to have to do it alone. As they're about to leave, Gordy comes to say goodbye and apologises to King for not going with them. And King dismisses the apology because he understands what Gordy's going through, and he thanks Gordy for everything that he's done. There's this audition scene, honestly, might be the best scene in the movie.
Not bad.
Pretty good.
My first note, Satan's Siamese twins is a fucking good gimmick. No joke. Like, how have we not seen a Siamese twins gimmick been done before?
Yeah, that's tag team champions written all over it, isn't it?
It would create a lot of controversy because you'd be like, oh, this Satan's Siamese twins are going to have a singles match with somebody. And they'd be like, no, this is not fair. That's a handicap match. And they'd be like, no, we're actually just one person. Like, we can't help it.
Or there should just be like 2 people under a shirt and then ref bump always.
Yeah.
2 tag team
Ref bump and then it comes out and then beat them up. It would be a better version of Twin Magic.
Oh my god, yes.
The best part of this audition scene is the dude who thinks he's auditioning for Oklahoma. He just
Wait, what?
Sorry, can you repeat that? Cut out.
The best part is the dude who thinks he's auditioning for Oklahoma.
Yeah.
For Oklahoma?
Yeah, I'm guessing you meant Oklahoma, yeah.
He's just up there singing and just say, "This is the auditions for Oklahoma."
Yeah, it's a good shit.
I don't know. I'm more of a fan of Fireman Fred because he's going to hose you.
Oh, he's a big boy.
I thought you would have been
boss.
more of a fan of whatever the woman's name is. She just
Pretty Kitty?
rips her kid off.
Pretty Kitty.
Is that her name?
Yeah.
Wow.
And King's like, oh, what's she going to do? Boo him to death? Yeah, pretty funny.
So, any thoughts on the audition scene?
Just pretty solid. Good stuff.
What about you, Nat?
No, it's pretty stock standard. Wait for the next scene.
Well, before we get to the next scene, I've got a bit of trivia. In the theatrical release, a shot of the Oklahoma singing cowboy tied to a tree was cut from the video and DVD release after concerns were expressed that it made light of anti-gay violence. So, I'm assuming the version you watched on YouTube doesn't have that scene in it.
No.
It doesn't, but I didn't know he was gay, so I don't understand.
I don't think he was gay, but they're just associating like him singing show tunes and shit. They're like, can be seen
That's
as...
bad.
as
That's gay.
Which is weird. Like, they have the "that's gay" line, but then they're like, oh, we probably should take that other thing out because that might be bad. That might be seen as making fun of anti-gay violence. So, meanwhile, Sean meets up with Wendy, whom he first thought of as one of the guys, but realised he's developed a soft spot for her and has seen that she was always infatuated with him. He gives her a New York Hard Rock Cafe t-shirt, which that's what
it's not even a wrestling shirt.
All the girls want a Hardcock Cafe t-shirt. He confesses that he's been thinking about her, and she thanks him by taking him inside the RV and fucking him before he leaves. And you kind of just, as the RV is pulling away, he shoves her out naked, covered in a WCW Duna cover.
An NWO blankie.
Which I'm kind of jealous that he had that. I never had one of those when I was a kid. I just had the old Pokemon Duna cover.
I just have here that he fucked Wendy 444 life.
Just a thought that popped in my head is the Wendy in this movie the same Wendy that AJ Styles is married to?
Can you repeat that?
What? Is the Wendy in this movie the same Wendy that AJ Styles is married to?
Yes.
Wendy.
I like to imagine that's what Joe is always talking about. He's always like, "How's Wendy?" It's actually a Ready to Rumble reference, and he's not making fun of AJ. He's just a big fan of Ready to Rumble. My only note for this scene here is just why. Why any of this? Why was the sex scene necessary? It doesn't do anything. It doesn't achieve anything.
It just shows the love. And before they left, there's a shot of Mrs. Mackenzie. She's a Jimmy King fan now. I just said she's a baddie. She's such a baddie.
I guess it kind of shows that like they've both matured, because you see Gordy's kind of matured because he's like doing the police exam thing, and then it shows that Sean's kind of matured because he's not like, oh, fucking Wendy's one of the guys, that's fucking gay. He's matured and he appreciates Wendy for always, believing in him.
So sweet.
Yeah, it kind of fits, but also why? Before we kind of head to the climax of the movie, we're going to do another round of Nat's trivia, and I cannot wait for the fucking questions that are going to pop up here.
Well, they're not as amazing because a few of them you've gone through, but let's see who remembers them. All right. There's no sponsor this week. We're just keeping it fresh. Don't need a sponsor during the movie. Because, fuck it. WCW is our sponsor.
Oh, hell yeah.
So our trivia score is tied up again, 7-all. So, fighting hard for the Trivia World Cup. It's really intense. The battle's heating up. It might finish one day. So, are you guys ready?
I am.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, question 1. Who was Arquette's stunt double?
Shane Helms.
Correct. Did you know that, Pricey?
Yeah, I did. I just not quick enough, mate.
That's all right. That's all right, mate. Sure, all right. Question 2. What WCW wrestler injured their knee?
Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio.
Ooh. Drawsies. Question 3. Rose McGowan and David Arquette are in what? Sorry. No, I can't. I'll start again. Question 3. Rose McGowan and David Arquette are what in the Scream franchise?
Siblings.
There you go.
What's that?
Did you change that question on the fly?
No,
you had to say what film are they in together? You were about
no. I read it as what franchise are they in, but I thought I wrote Scream in it, and I was like, wait, that's not the question. Almost fucked the whole trivia. All right, question 4. What happens in the alternate ending in this movie?
Oh, Sting heel turn.
There's an alternate ending? I did not even know.
There was an alternate ending that DDP was told that they were going to do.
I don't know about this.
Any ideas?
DDP goes over, but I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Any ideas, Pricey?
No, man.
It's Jimmy King wins, and then they all go backstage, and DDP and Jimmy King break kayfabe and hug.
Wow, that would have been a touching ending.
That would have been also very controversial end to
the
movie. Yes. Question 5. Oh, this is a long question, so bear with me. It was said Jimmy King had the longest undefeated streak in history. However, he only wrestled for 14 years. Who actually has the longest win streak in wrestling?
Fabulous Moolah.
What did you say, Pricey?
No, it's Asuka. You're all wrong.
You're very wrong.
Hey.
You're correct, Brandon. Fabulous Moolah. I would have also accepted Andre the Giant 15 years, and Fabulous Moolah is 27.
That's a lie.
She held that women's division by the balls.
Asuka was only undefeated for, 700 days, mate?
No.
I'm pretty sure Hogan went more than that.
Asuka won more matches. Moolah probably wrestled like twice, so Asuka's undefeated. More wins, you know what I'm saying?
Controversy.
I mean, if that helps your insomnia at night.
Nothing helps my insomnia, trust me.
It's why he lays awake thinking about the trivia questions he got wrong.
So we're just going for the questions that no one's going to get. So question 6. What is the Japan title for this movie? It's in English.
Okay, I'm gonna go on a limb here. I'm gonna say the title is Fight! ! Time to Rumble! !
I mean, it's kind of along those lines, but no.
Fuck.
That's actually not a bad guess.
David Arquette's best movie ever.
Close. It's Headlock, Go, Professional Wrestling.
Fucking yeah, hell yeah, Headlock, Go, Professional Wrestling, my favourite flick.
Yeehaw.
I was pretty close.
So, yeah, you were. Question 7. DDP did what at WrestleMania 6?
Drove the Cadillac for Honky Tonk Man?
Yes.
Oh, bang!
Yeah.
I don't
plan on getting any of these right.
What do you ever plan on getting right, mate?
Well, I don't know. I'm not good with this stuff.
Just the Vancouver Grizzlies trivia.
Yeah, if you ask me more basketball stuff, that'd help.
Okay. I'll give you a question just for you right now, Price. Only you can answer.
Oh, here we go.
This movie was set in California.
Yeah.
What teams play in California from the NBA?
Well, all of them. Or... do you want me to go through all of them? Or...
Yep.
Oh, the Kings, Warriors, Lakers, and
It's only
Clippers.
4. Yeah, there you go.
The Kings. The Jimmy Kings.
Ah, it all makes sense.
I think I'm going to give you a point there.
A bonus point. Give me a bonus point.
Bonus point because I feel sorry for you. Alright, question 8. Closest answer wins for this one. What is David Arquette's net worth?
Ooh, I'm going to say it is...
It's not very high, I will say that. For how many movies he's done.
10 million.
Ooh, I'm going to say 17 million.
Brandon's closer, it's 25 million.
Those residuals from Ready to Rumble keep him ticking over.
Oh, it's those Scream movies. So, did you... question 9. Who did David Arquette return to team up with in 2010?
He teamed with Alex Riley to face The Miz and Michael Cole or something.
Oh, close enough. He took on Randy Orton, so that's correct.
Oh, yeah, that was Randy Orton, yeah.
Is that the thing that happened?
Yeah, he hosted Raw, I think, and then he had a match. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Why was Alex Riley wrestling Randy Orton?
Fuck, your guess is as good as mine.
I'll say it to his face.
2010. Oh, actually, that makes sense. Remember, before Miz cashed in, he did have a match with... He had a mini feud with Orton.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Alright, question 10. What's David Arquette's character in Scream? What's his character name in Scream?
Billy.
If any of you have you watched Scream?
No. His name's
Are
Billy.
you guys fucking serious?
Gee,
It starts with a D. Starts with a D. Pricey, I'll give you
Derek.
Oh, I know it now.
Derek.
that. It's Officer Dewey.
I knew it. I was going to say Dewey.
Jesus.
Billy's pretty close.
Well, that's the end of the trivia, but I'm just going to give the bonus question. What pay-per-view? What's the name of the pay-per-view in this?
Royal.
The Royal Bash.
Bash.
Damn it! I knew it was something royal. I can't even get the answer right that I know. Fuck.
Kind of weird they'd hold a pay-per-view themed around royalty when they banned their royal character for life. Kind of makes you think that this is fucking fake.
No, it's not, bro.
No, it's not. People are fake. Wrestling is real.
Wrestling's fake.
Still real to me, damn it.
I'm not a spaz. Alright, so that wraps up trivia. Wraps up trivia, and we had a landslide victory by Brandon, winning 7-2.
True Ready to Rumble fan.
That's like when you're down 20 with like a couple minutes left and you just take your starters out. That's what I was feeling today.
Nice. Just regroup.
No point.
Regroup, come back next week.
Yeah, exactly. It's a 7-game series. We're coming back for the win next week.
No, I respect your honesty of why you lost today.
Yeah.
You didn't want to take it on the chin as that it was your fault that you lost. Blame it on something else. That's how you do it.
I'm very tired, so
It's bad feng shui.
Blame it on that.
It's because we're doing it in the morning.
Yeah, I'm not as quick with the because some of those answers I knew. I just wasn't quick because I'm a bit tired. So
No, respect.
next week.
So let's get back to the movie here. The night of the match, Sinclair tells Sting to stop King from winning at all costs. And if he doesn't do that, he's going to literally murder Sting.
He's going to kill him.
Is pretty excessive threat. This is just wrestling, man. Fucking, you don't need to be murdering guys. So King is ready, but very nervous. He's joined by Sean, who's dressed to impress as he's going to act as a manager to King. The match starts and turns rapidly into a nightmare for King when DDP's goons break inside the cage. One of the goons is a masked wrestler who turns out to be King's son, Frankie, who proceeds to beat up his dad. As King is getting beat up by the goons, out comes WCW wrestlers Goldberg, Booker T, Billy Kidman, and Disco Inferno to help him and even the odds. One of the great quotes comes from this little section here. It's Sean kind of teasing DDP, and he says, "A diamond upside down is a pussy." I'm like, all right.
Funny.
That's I guess that's true.
He's not wrong.
My other note from here is Moving Groove Guerrero is such a heel here. I can't believe he's fucking working heel.
Yeah.
I looked up to him and he just breaks my heart.
He can do everything. He's a very talented man.
But any thoughts about the beginning stages of the match?
So well put together.
Yeah.
Yeah, the agent for this match really pat yourself on the back.
I hope it was Arn Anderson.
Oh, relevant. Unfortunately, they can't get into the cage because the door is padlocked again somehow. Padlock was broken and now apparently it's been padlocked again. But out comes another man on a motorcycle who uses the entrance ramp as a jump somehow to crash through the cage door and take out some of the goons. That man is Gordy, dressed in a wrestling version of his father's uniform. His father sees his son on TV and initially he's kind of down on it, but then starts cheering him on with his colleagues. Gordy and the others deal with DDP's posse and defeat them while King and DDP climb the cage to try and get the belt. Sasha just shows up here and tries to get back together with Gordy because the fans just love him, but she ends up getting knocked out by a ladder after not listening to Sean's warning. I've got some questions here. My first one is, where the fuck does Sasha come from? Second one is, why is there a crutch in the second cage? And my last one is, why is there a noose in the second cage?
There's plenty of weapons there. It's the Ambrose Asylum.
Why the fuck is there a noose? They're just
Hangman Page.
The crutch is the real weird thing. It's like, oh, he's beating him with a crutch now. Oh,
Yeah,
wow, why?
Becky Lynch relevant as well.
She stole her thing from Ready to Rumble. Next thing you know, she's going to come out with a noose and try and strangle someone. But yeah, there's a lot of weird shit going on here. I think maybe the weirdest of all is how does Gordy even get air? on his motorbike to jump through there. The ramp is literally going the opposite way you would want to try and use it as a jump. And so,
don't question Officer Dewey.
It's fucking Gordy, aka the Law. Any thoughts on the little sequence here?
This probably would have happened in WCW match like this.
I mean, I've never seen they had 2 triple cage matches. I've never seen them, but I'm 100% sure they actually happened pretty similar to this. Just have half the locker room come down and break in for some reason. Disco Inferno's there just for laughs. But we move on here, and meanwhile, in the highest cage, DDP manages to throw King down to the lowest cage. As he attempts to reach for the belt, Page is knocked down to the lowest cage himself by Sting, who was threatened into helping DDP earlier by Sinclair, but he clearly doesn't care. He's a rogue vigilante up in the rafters, that vigilante Sting. The two end up climbing back to the top again and fight it out until King manages to body slam DDP all the way through the 3 cages into the mat, which puts him out for the count. King then retrieves the belt and is once again champion, and just shout out to DDP taking a sicker bump than Mankind through the cell.
Oh, absolutely. No one talks about it.
Did you know it was nominated at the World Stunt Awards for an award for Best Special Stunt?
Really? That stunt was nominated for it?
It didn't win, but that was in it, and it was actually some guy. It wasn't actually DDP. Someone Scott Workman. Sorry. Oh,
shout out to Scott Workman. He can work, man.
He's. So I thought it was a really, really good bump. Good finish to the match. Really nice and laid out by the producers.
Well, you would probably think that taking a bump off the top of the triple cage would be a little bit unrealistic, but again, this is WCW. They fucking did it. So when Arquette loses his WCW championship, it's in the triple cage match, and that event is being held in Kemper Arena, which you'll remember as the event where Owen Hart fucking died. So bear that in mind. Owen Hart died. This is 2000. Owen Hart died literally months ago, and WCW thought it was a good idea to get. I think it was it Canyon or Conan. One of them gets thrown off the top, into crash pads and shit. But then once that happens, they acted like kayfabe. He was paralyzed, which pretty tasteful thing to do in the arena where Owen Hart fucking died.
It's the Monday Night Wars, brother.
Hey, fucking car crash TV, bro.
Bro, just fucking do the job.
Any notes before we kind of get into the wrap up of the film?
What do you think of the title belt?
Well,
because it's silver, it's not the WCW belt.
Yeah, it's not the correct belt, and I've got a little bit of trivia here, or a bit of a goof. That Jimmy King's name is still on the nameplate here instead of DDP's. But when I saw this goof, the person noted that WCW would often not change the nameplate for several weeks after a title change.
I downvoted that on IDB.
Did you really?
Yeah, I downvoted most of the trivia, the goof things. They were shit. Some of them were just downright awful.
Some of them were bad. The one where it's King and DDP work their match and call their spots in the ring very loudly. This is unrealistic because the crowd would be able to hear them. It's a fucking movie. Shut up. You don't want to hear them whispering. Yeah.
Just that's shit.
So after the match ends, Shawn and Gordy beat up Titus Sinclair before tossing him into the crowd where the fans beat him up some more. Goldberg asks King to reteam with him, but the new champ announces that his new partner is going to be Gordy and their manager will be Shawn. Gordy's father...
No. It's Shawn Sugar Daddy Dawkins.
I love that we learned his last name there.
Right at the end.
Do you think Angelo Dawkins named himself after Sean Sugar Daddy Dawkins?
Oh, he must have been inspired.
So Gordy's father is cheering and finally accepts his son's decision, while Wendy is seen at work jumping and screaming her love for Sean. And I think my only note here is that Titus Sinclair takes the softest beatdown ever from the crowd. They have a close-up of him on the ground getting stomped, and they are the softest stomps I've ever seen. Like, no one thought to be like, maybe we should reshoot this and make it look...
Maybe we should hire Steve Austin.
Stomp a mud hole and walk it dry. So afterwards, Sean is back in Lusk and at the convenience store where the story began, telling the story to some kids and saying that dreams can come true. Just as one of the kids asks Sean to prove that the story is real, the store clerk, known for being mean to kids, is thrown through the glass door by Goldberg, Gordy, and King, and all ends happily as the heroes ride off in a stretch Hummer driven by Nitro Girl Shay, together with Sal Bandini Wanna Wrestle, who has fully recovered and is in a hot tub with a couple of beautiful women, and he ends it by saying, "God bless America," which I feel like they didn't know how to end this film, so they're just like, whatever, say God bless America. And my final thought on the movie here is that Goldberg assaults this convenience store owner in full gear, like he's Park or something. Just walking around in full kit.
Full gear.
All wrestlers should be in full gear all the time.
Except Hangman, because he's fat.
Yeah, he's fat, obviously.
It ruins kayfabe if they're not wearing their full gear all the time.
I just have that no one wanting to team with Goldberg still relevant to this day.
Oh, you don't reckon when he was working New Japan in the early 2000s, no one wanted to team with him there? Maybe Nagata?
Fucking maybe Yano.
But yeah, any final thoughts on how the movie closes out here before we move on to some notes about the overall feel of the film?
I just wish I had a hot tub in the back of my car. That'd be pretty cool.
What about you, Nat?
Jeez. I don't know what to say. It's probably one of the it's a really bad ending. When you think about it, just like, couldn't they have finished it off with Jimmy King and the two guys?
They probably could have. Like, why does the Nitro Girl show up? Like, I don't know why that's a thing. Like,
yeah, like she's introduced a new character.
Yeah, like we never see her before, and then now she's driving the Hummer. I guess we kind of needed it to know that Sal Bandini Wanna Wrestle was okay.
Sal Bandini Wanna Wrestle.
Well, I don't know if you guys stuck around for the end credits, but they feature bloopers and montages of kicks to the groin.
Oh, it's the end credit goofs.
Which, it's a early 2000s movie when the credits feature just a bunch of bloopers. They need to bring it back, I think. So my thoughts on the movie is this is such an early 2000s movie. Like, all of the humor is just early 2000s. Everything about it is early 2000s. I noticed that every female character in this movie is treated like a sex object, which hasn't aged too well. Just literally every female that gets brought in is either the main characters want to fuck them or the woman wants to fuck them, which, like, none of them actually have any character. The worst of all is, like, what is her name? Mighty Kitty or whatever the fuck.
Pretty Kitty.
She just, I don't know, she shows up to take her clothes off, and then I guess she's there in the background of the actual match, but it's entirely pointless.
Do you reckon she locked up with all the heels, Sid and stuff?
You reckon?
Yeah, she probably did the buddy dick flip spot.
My overall thoughts on the movie, though, this movie is not good, but it was, like, way better than I thought it would be. It got genuine laughs out of me, and, like, a lot of the time it was really fucking dumb, but that actually made it entertaining from start to finish. It's a lot better than if like the movie was just really terrible or really boring. Like a lot of the dumb moments were like, oh yeah, this scene's kind of fucking lame, but oh, here's like 3 dumb moments in a row that gets me invested again. So honestly, I can't complain about Ready to Rumble. It was a tight like 90 minutes. What did you guys think of the movie overall?
Yeah, it's right up my alley, this movie, I thought. No, you made a good point. It is dumb, but I think it's just, it's so stupid that it's good, that kind of stuff. I didn't think I'd ever like it, David Arquette. For some reason, this one's not too bad. So credit to him. What
were your thoughts, Nat?
Look, for people like us, wrestling fans, and like we just want a genuine laugh, this is an alright movie for like just to relax to, and it's got a lot of laughs.
Yeah, honestly, like I guess if you're not a wrestling fan, you're probably going to struggle to get enjoyment out of this.
Yeah.
But if you are a wrestling fan, you're going with like the right level of expectations. Don't go in expecting like, oh, an amazing comedy. Expect it's going to be dumb as fuck, and there's going to be some occasional good jokes.
Yeah.
You can get enjoyment out of it. I would genuinely watch Ready to Rumble again. If this showed up on maybe 7 Mate, that seems like a channel that would play Ready to Rumble. Right after Ice Road Truckers, I would probably sit down and watch it.
I will say it probably got the perfect rating on IMDb.
3.9 out of 10.
I thought it was about 5.
Oh, you're talking about the IMDb. I was talking about the Rotten Tomatoes critic score.
Oh, fuck like, Rotten Tomatoes.
It's pretty middle of the road. You can get some enjoyment out of it, especially if you're a wrestling fan. But with that said, I'm going to move into a bit of trivia tidbits here that I think these didn't actually get mentioned in your actual trivia section. Nat. Apparently there were plans to do a sequel which never materialized, which I can't imagine why. Considering it fucking made $12 million.
Maybe my tweet the other day is going to get kickstarted again.
As we alluded to earlier, Rose McGowan, who played Nitro Girl Sasha, hated her time making this film. She admitted that she hated the movie and didn't want to be in it, and eventually she just gave in and fucking went along with it after throwing the script in the trash 3 times.
That's fucked.
I mean, Rose McGowan, clearly she cared a lot. She wanted this to be the best movie it could be. And fucking old mate writer of the Mighty Ducks and director of fucking The Shaggy Dog, they didn't care.
Like, she succeeded. This is the best movie ever.
It might be the best movie she ever made. Can't really recall.
No. Have you seen Jawbreaker?
No.
It's the one where they there's 4 girls and they kidnap their friend. It's her birthday, like as a joke, and then they put a jawbreaker, like the jawbreaker candy.
Yeah.
They put one in her mouth and she chokes on it and she dies.
Wow.
It's actually a good movie. It's not a good movie, but like it's rated like 5. If it's actually like it's some good enjoyment out of it. She's in the bloody one where her leg's missing and it's a gun.
Wow.
That's like her top known movie. I forget what it's called.
She's in Machete, which I know that's a film that you like, Nat.
I have seen that.
Just interesting to know, Rose McGowan is in Scream, which is a little link to David Arquette. That's probably why she did this.
That was in my trivia.
I was going to say, didn't Nat say that before?
Oh, did you?
Yes.
I was too busy winning the trivia to pay attention.
Yeah, me too.
So, Nat mentioned this in his trivia as well, but I'll just reiterate. Sean says that Jimmy King is the longest undefeated wrestler ever, but later Sinclair mentions that he's been wrestling for 14 years. King being undefeated for 14 years is not the longest winning streak in pro wrestling because Andre and Fabulous Moolah had longer streaks, as Nat mentioned. So get your fucking facts right, bloody whoever the writer was, Bill I think it was, fucking Bill.
Nah, they meant WCW.
Oh, yeah, okay, okay. That's okay then. But yeah, I guess that does us for Ready to Rumble. Thanks for listening to the Wrestle Hunks Podcast. You can find the show on Twitter and Instagram at Wrestle Hunks Pod. I'm on Twitter as @SourceMarlow. Pricey is on Twitter as @EvilBrodyPrice, and Nat is on Twitter as @NathMarlow. For how much longer, we don't know. The Twitter police might come and ban him for being naughty online.
I've got to be a good boy. I'm going to start retweeting some Bible verses.
Please do that. You can find the show on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Spotify, all of them good podcast services, and feel free to rate us on whatever service you listen to. And this brings us to the part of the podcast where each member suggests a show to cover for next week's episode that gets put up into a Twitter poll, and we let the fans decide. And I've decided next week kind of coincides with the 18th birthday of AJ Styles debuting on Monday Nitro. It happened on March 5th of 2001, and
Nice.
nobody really wanted to watch AJ Styles debut on Thunder, so maybe his debut on Nitro will fare better. I just really want to watch WCW. Pricey, what are you suggesting?
For no real reason, I'm just putting WWE Roadblock into the poll, 2016. This is the one that was pretty much a house show with Triple H versus Dean Ambrose in the main event. But we also get Stardust versus Sami Zayn, so I'm sure that'll be good.
It's the precursor to Roadblock End of the Line.
Yeah, I don't want anyone to get confused. This isn't Roadblock End of the Line. Roadblock.
This is just Roadblock.
They had two Roadblocks in 2016 and none after that.
Hey, they peaked. They really did all they could do with the Roadblock name, so they had to fuck it off now.
Exactly.
Nat, what are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting Gene Snitsky's whole. And I'm suggesting this because I want you guys to see his foot fetishes. Not even going to lie.
Look, it's been a while since we've done a superstar's career, so I don't mind it.
I feel like his career is pretty easy. I think it actually would be easier to test because literally it's just the Kane feud. Then there's when he came back as being bald.
Considering Snitsky never held a belt, and I don't think he challenged for belts that much, and I don't think he had many pay-per-view matches, it's probably going to be a lot easier than Test.
And we can't really watch his heat matches, so easy peasy.
So we need a wild card. Do either of you have any kind of suggestions or ideas for what we should do for a wild card option this week?
It's a good question. Not too sure. Might have to dig through the network here.
I'm having a look. See if I can't dig up.
No Way Out 2005.
No Way Out 2005.
Barbed wire to steel cage match.
Is it bad though?
I don't know. Just the barbed wire steel cage matches.
It's I reckon fucking which Great American Bash has Mordecai? I want to watch Mordecai.
2005 or 4?
4, I'm pretty sure.
I'll have a look, because if it is, I want to chuck up 2004. We need Mordecai. It's also got Eddie and JBL, so...
Iconic, that one.
The cowbell match?
Yeah.
Ooh, does it? Yeah, Mordecai defeating Hardcore Holly. Fuck, Sable defeating Tori Wilson. Kenzo Suzuki defeating Billy Gunn. What's not to like about this pay-per-view? Top it off with Undertaker defeating the Dudley Boys in the handicap concrete crypt match.
You also got, I think, Judgment Day. I think that's the SmackDown one before that. I think Mordecai's on that one as well.
Yeah, I can't remember who he wrestles.
Scotty 2 Hotty.
Oh yeah, Scotty 2 Hotty, yeah.
Is he?
Classic feud.
Oh, one of the best.
Fuck it, I'm chucking the Great American Bash 2004. So do you boys have anything else you want to say before we sign off here?
Listen to Wrestle Hunks Weekly. I don't know what we're talking about this week because I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet. But
There's a few releases.
Yeah, a few releases. We'll talk about TJP. Obviously, gets another run this week.
News.
Bruce Pritchard, yeah. So we got stuff. We'll be talking and things. So listen.
Well, I guess that does it. That's all for this week. Remember, Sal Bandini, want to wrestle? Also, Sal Bandini, stay hunky.